Hey everybody. First off, I want to thank Tide We for paying for the show. If you need a pair of boots, a pair of waders, a new backpack, some hunting rain gear, look them up. They got some good stuff. I want to talk to you today about navigating, specifically navigating in the dark. I used to, when I was younger, take pride in always navigating in the dark. And you get night vision. You know, you get to a point where if you shut out the lights, at first you're blind. You can't see nothing. And that's why people just always use a light. They don't know this. But if you shut out the lights and you just stand there for a minute, if you got any kind of lighting, a sprinkling of snow, a moon, you know, even a half a moon, if you got cloud cover that's reflecting city light back down, and you got any kind of light, even when it's blackout, your vision will come back, and you can start to see again. And then, you know, especially when you're in like swampy areas and stuff, you can see certain little higher trees and stuff and navigate and know where you're at. Or when you're using a flashlight, you lose track of where you're at because you can only see 10 feet in front of you. You know, like in the cattails and stuff. And often when I use a light in the cattails, I have to hold the light down for a while and wait or turn it off until my vision comes back where I can see those landmarks so I know where I'm going.
Right now, I'm about 3/4 of a mile back into public. It's an hour before daylight. I am knee deep in water. My boots are full. There's a blizzard starting. Every year I'm reminded how hard this stuff is and how much harder. I really can't even see where I'm at. I'm in cattails over my head. And when I turn off the lights and I stare for a minute, get my eyes adjusted to the dark, I can see the shadow in the distance of the island I'm heading to. I'm going to get off the tip of that and I'm going to sit for the first hour of light and see what comes through.
Now, the thing is, with it navigating in the dark, you know, with no lights, I used to love that because I thought I could sneak to these spots, get out there, and not tip deer off.
I walked back here a mile in the pitch black without a flashlight, sneaking, set up in a funnel.
But one day, I was coming out of the swamp, and I'm walking through some grass, and it was dead silent. It was after dark, and I hear this, like an arrow riding across a riser.
Oh.
And I had my light in my hand, and I flicked it on and flicked it up, and there's a guy at full draw on me. And this is a true story. And the guy starts yelling at me, like, who the hell walks through the woods without a flashlight? And now I hate poachers as much as anybody else, but I'd like to thank that guy because he taught me a valuable lesson that may have saved my life.
Yeah.
I walk around now looking like I'm lit up like a Christmas tree.
But then
And for a good reason. Because people, you know, there's poachers out there, there's people that make mistakes, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, years ago, like 20 years ago, there was a girl out here who was riding her horse in her backyard at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I think it was October. And she rode into the dark portion of their property, and a guy with a 30-30 shot and killed the horse underneath her, thinking it was a deer. It wasn't even gun season. And she had no lights on or anything. And, I mean, obviously that should never happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if it can happen there, you don't think it can happen where people think deer should be walking? I mean, two things got to go wrong for you to get shot in the woods. Number one, you have to appear as a game animal to a person. Number two, that person has to break some laws because he'd have to be shooting at dark, or he'd have to be shooting after dark, have to be some sort of poacher. But there are people that get so excited over deer, if they hear you coming and think you're a deer, they'll wait and they'll talk themselves into believing it. You know, use the lights for safety. And I'll tell you what, since using the lights, now that I use them, I found that deer do not get bothered by lights after dark. Might sound weird, But what I've noticed is I'll be walking out and deer will come walking by, and you hear something walking by, and you stop and you light them with a light and just watch them walk by and look at you and keep walking. And they're fine until they get downwind of you. I see that all the time. Walk up to deer all the time in the dark that you would not walk up to in daylight,
Right.
in open fields and stuff. And I have to think they have less of a reaction to lights at night than they do to people during the day. You know, when they run into you at night, it seems like they're better with it, which is part of my point about getting to your stand before daylight. I think deer put up with you more before daylight than they do after daylight. It's like they know daylight is danger. Maybe kind of like people. Like we're not nearly as afraid of stuff in daylight
Right.
as we are at dark. You know, I think they're kind of the opposite. That's not to say deer aren't afraid of you in the dark. It's to say you get away with a lot more. So a lot of people say that you should go in at gray light. I've always been baffled by that because most deer move at gray light. That's when the deer are the most active during the day. And I don't care what time of year it is, even during rut, they are most active at gray light, whether it's in the evening or the morning. So going in at gray light just seems odd to me. I would either go in well before light or in the later morning. And it depends on where I'm hunting and why I'm hunting there. But gray light just does not seem like a good time frame to be wandering around the woods going from point A to point B. And I think some of that has to do, if people are honest, with their fears of navigating in the dark.
I ventured way out here in the marsh, climbed up a tree waiting for the bucks to come back. It's nice out here, it's calm, quiet. It's not real cold. Watching the sunrise. It's a good time to be alive. Got a good feeling about this morning.
Or maybe because they haven't been to that spot before. And now you got to go in there and you got to find a tree and that kind of thing. And that I can understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good time to go in with gray light either, but I know from personal experience, going in the morning in the dark, I make a whole lot more noise when I'm in the dark. I feel that I can see better if I went in when it's light out. That's why I like the afternoons.
And I get that. I just wonder how much your noise makes a difference in the dark. I mean, if you try to be quiet. But you're right, the noise level in darkness is extreme. It's like dead silent most of the time when it's black. Because just before daylight and just after dark, those time frames, it's usually dead calm. I mean, not always, but a lot of the time it's dead calm. And then any sound you make just amplifies.
Yeah.
I heard about 15 minutes ago, a guy set up about 400 yards that way. I heard his climber. He has an easier access from a road. I can't go over there. Every deer in the woods had to hear him. That should help me out. Anything coming through here, it's gonna come my way instead of his way. He's probably been doing that every day. When I sat over there, I saw flashlights come in that way the last time, and that was a week ago.
I guess you got to get over that fear. Maybe if you're going in deep in the dark. In the morning, going in the dark doesn't really bother me. It's coming out. If I'm real deep and not sure where I'm at, coming out, that's a little more what I pay attention to.
It's time to walk the walk. Let's ski part.
Watch your step.
Step on that thing.
So I think a lot of it might be people's fear of the dark, afraid to go in the dark. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean like you're scared crapless, but I mean there's predators out there. I mean, a lot of places I hunt have wolves and bears. I mean, there's things that can go wrong. I mean, I can remember once hunting in Iowa when I got attacked by dogs in the dark coming off of a property.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, that was scary.
I bet.
I didn't get hurt, but it was a scary situation. And I can see where people have some fears about navigating in the dark. I mean, if you got to cross a creek or go through some heavy brush, you go in there in the daytime and you think, oh, this is where I'm going to go hunt. And when morning comes around, you kind of lose your ambition.
I'm about a quarter of the way back, trying to catch my breath. But this is the stuff I'm going through. You can't see nothing. This stuff is, you know, probably 13, 14 feet high. It's, and I'm in a foot of water. Long night and I didn't see one deer. Not a one. I'm thinking I spooked them all going in.
But you only live once, and you don't get great stories by sitting back and saying, I'm not doing that today.
Right.
You know, just go out and do it. I mean, what's the worst can go wrong? Get lost and you spend an afternoon in the woods or a morning in the woods wandering around.
And I can hear thunder in the distance, and I am way, way, way back. Oh, another fun one.
I think getting outside of your box and trying to get out there early is a better thing. The only trouble with that is if you hunt like a beast, mobile and always new spots, it's hard if you're not familiar with an area to hit the right tree, to hit the right elevation, to hit the right trails. So sometimes those morning spots got to be pre-scouted.
Yeah, I agree.
Now the evening is different. Now guys coming out in the dark, I mean, a lot of times I think people don't go back far enough. They don't go into the spots where they should go, or they don't cross water because they dread coming through a swamp of deep water where they had to really kind of watch where they went to get through to go out there,
Right.
coming out in the dark.
Right.
One wrong step into that crap and you're going over your head.
But again, if that's where the deer are, it's where you need to hunt if you want to kill them. Again, no, I'm not telling people that's what they should do because you got to keep it fun. And if you're terrified by that and it really is a bad time coming out, okay, then don't do it. But I see it as you think it's going to be, and it really isn't that bad. Maybe a little bit of miserable, but if you just man up and do it, I think you'll have bigger rewards. What I have noticed is I hunt a lot of public land, and sometimes I hunt right next to the parking lot. Sometimes I hunt a mile back. Sometimes I hunt halfway in between. And I've noticed that I only hunt till closing time, and I'm often, I mean a lot of the time, when I get out, I'm often the only one in the parking lot at that time, but there's 10 cars there when I went in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, one of these guys quitting.
Right.
You know, I've hunted near parking lots and watched guys coming out, and they're getting to their car before it's even closing time.
Right.
It tells me they're afraid to navigate out of there in the dark.
Yeah.
But if you look at the deer that I've shot, 95% of them were shot in that first half an hour of light or that last half an hour of light.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yes. Same with me.
I mean, I've got a few nice bucks that I've shot in rut, you know, midday and stuff,
Right.
but that's the exception.
Yeah.
Most of them are in first half hour, last half hour. And if guys are waiting until after the last half hour to go in, and they're coming out before the last half hour in the evening,
They're wasting prime time.
right, they're lacing the time when 90% of the deer are killed.
I came out of the woods many times in the parking lots empty,
Right,
except for me.
right.
What kind of lights would you use if you were going deep or going not so deep in the woods?
So if we're going to that spot we were talking about earlier, way back,
Yeah.
versus, say we're hunting the backyard here, down in the corner,
Correct.
okay? So down in the corner, no matter what, I'm not lost. I can get out with no lights. Right?
Right.
My only light is probably for safety so I don't get shot.
Right.
But when I'm going navigating back, I better make sure I got a backup light. I better make sure I have 2 lights, because lights get broken, lights get lost, they get dropped. Things happen.
I normally have 3.
Yeah, backup light is a good thing. I also want to make sure one of those lights is a tracking light, because I don't want to walk all the way back here to get a bright light for tracking.
Right.
So I'm better prepared when I go deep with lighting.
I usually carry a headlamp, 2 headlamps, and a flashlight. Flashlight I barely ever take out. The one headlight I use is a little bit too big, so I'll take my other smaller one that has a red light. Now, what do the red lights do in dark?
Well, that's a good question, because I think a lot of people think that red lights are something that don't tip deer off. And I don't believe that for a minute.
Okay.
I think deer don't see color, they see light. If it's light, it's light.
Right.
They see a light blob. We see red, they don't. So I do think they see light. But where red comes in handy is where you still got a little bit of light and people don't see it as well. So you can have a dim red light. I'll use it when I'm setting up my stand. I'll have the red on.
Oh, okay.
You know, when I'm up in a tree, because some guy will see me from a mile away and know where I'm at, which might not be a big deal, but it might be. I mean, sometimes you got little secret spots you really don't want other people to know that, hey, wait, that might be a good idea where that guy is.
Right.
You know, so I try to keep my spots secret. So when I'm walking to and from my stand in the dark, what I like is a headlamp. Now this was literally like $2 at a gas station. And it works great. It's been working for 2 years. You just put it on your lid of your cap,
Yeah.
and what I like about this is your hands are free.
Yep.
I can carry a bow, I can carry a camera arm, I can take my hand and move bushes out of the way. I'm not holding a flashlight, right?
All you can do is hope you're on the right trail. Get out of this crap.
The other thing is, this, you can see sticks right here, right? This, you see sticks down here. And I find that if you use a handheld flashlight, you get sticks in the eye a lot. But if you use this, you can see the brush coming,
Sure.
and you don't get sticks in the eye. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it works. I mean, if you're using a flashlight, you're going to get a lot more brush that hits you in the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I usually use a headlamp. But
I got a headlamp too, and I really like it. But really, these were just, for me, navigation. And I like this too because it's more of a lower light when I'm working in a tree. But the headlamps now got those nice red lights where you can work in a tree and it doesn't give off that big shining light to people.
But these are very compact.
Right, right. So I can have an extra one of these in my pocket and still have my headlamp. Believe it or not, I lose a lot of stuff when I'm hunting.
And that's what I was just going to say at the Public Land Challenge. I lost my light like that.
Yeah, you go through brush. And we were just walking around today. We were out scouting for you for late season. And you go, hey, Dan, you're dropping stuff. And he's like handing me my flashlight, handing me my wallet.
Came out
Here's
of
your
his
credit
pocket.
card. So when you're like me and you got holes in your pockets and stuff, you gotta have extra stuff.
Yes. Yes.
But the headlamp for navigating, for setting up. But if you're tracking deer, I like a good handheld flashlight with a good high strong light beam. And it seems to me like the
yeah, I have the one with the one big beam right in the middle of it.
yeah. So what I like is one that's adjustable.
Yeah, it does that too.
Yeah. So yours, you turn it. Oh, you pull it in and out like mine.
Yeah.
So you got this flood beam, and that's great for seeing where you're going and stuff. But then when I'm tracking, I fine tune that right to a spot, and I can look at each spot for blood along a trail.
Yep. I carry that all the time. I haven't used it much though.
You don't do much tracking.
I didn't want to say that because I knew you'd bring it up.
Rick here's having a bad year.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just for an excuse, he gets COVID during rut. Who would get COVID during rut?
No, that was during gun.
Oh, okay, whatever.
I lost private land this year. I got COVID during gun.
Why did you get COVID? I wouldn't even want that.
I don't think I had a choice. But it was bad.
Aren't you a conservative? Conservatives don't accept COVID.
Well, I should be like you.
Right.
I don't get COVID.
Just
COVID
say
gets
no
me.
to COVID.
COVID gets me. COVID don't.
They're waiting for COVID to try and get me because then COVID will be dead. So when we're dragging deer out, at least when we're dragging my deer or Mario's deer out, because Rick don't shoot nothing.
I drug one out this year.
Just kidding, just kidding. Okay, so when we're dragging Rick's deer out, one guy drags, one guy's got a light. One guy goes up and makes sure, okay, this is the trail we should take, guys. So the guy ain't dragging the deer over here and going, no, this way, no, this way, no, this way. And you light up the trail, and when that guy gets tired, you switch. Which when we use a sled, it's easy for one guy to drag. So you might drag for, you drag for 10 feet, you get tired. I drag for a mile, I get tired. You drag for 10, and we switch off.
He's so full of it. It's the other way around.
See all that muscle?
Strong smelling.
Yeah, well, I take a shower
And
once a week.
we both lift weights.
I do sit-ups. So I'm really starting to like these now. What is nice is this light here has highs and lows, and it has a red light, and you can wear it on your head hands-free. And then the two, I can adjust it down.
Yep.
If I turn my cap around.
And it's light, it won't give you a headache.
Right. So, I mean, they make some bigger lights like you use. Got a battery pack on it and stuff. Lasts a little longer.
It's really super bright, like the flashlights we got. The batteries are different types of batteries that are rechargeable, and it's super bright. But it's not as compact as I like it. So, if it depends where I'm going, what I'll take. I'll take this one or my other one.
And we looked at some really good, well-built lights too. The kind of used for coon hunting and stuff, wearing their heads and stuff, and they're cool and stuff, but they're not compact, not easy to carry, and literally, because of the terrain we're going through, because of the types of terrain, the water, deep water, the heavy brush, we're breaking a lot of lights. We're losing a lot of lights. This one's mine, same as yours. You zoom it in tight. The ones that got the
It's the one you almost lost.
the bulbs seem to pick up blood better than the LEDs.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. It's like the softer light or something. But I really like the mag lights because of the era I grew up in. This is like the first good flashlight.
Yeah, I have one.
But I do notice that they often, for whatever reason, the batteries go dead a lot. They turn on and stuff. Where these seem, that button turning it on, it seems like they last longer. So the newer flashlights do seem better, even though the old school of me likes the old mag light. So to wrap it up, just keep it fun. Have fun. If you don't want to go out there in the dark, don't.
Absolutely.
It's about having a good time. But if you're one of those people who you're not that worried about the dark, but it bothers you a little bit, just push your limits. You're going to kill a lot more deer right at legal time and in that first half an hour than you are the whole rest of the morning. You're going to kill a lot more deer in that last half an hour of light by staying to the limit. Don't leave early. But like I said, if it's really bothering you, go ahead and leave because it's supposed to be fun. But you're going to kill big bucks by hunting those two time frames.
That's about a 150-inch buck.
Yeah,
You happy?
you bet I'm happy. Wow.
So at first you're going to be nervous about it, but you get used to it. Navigating in the dark, once you do it a lot, you get really used to it. The biggest thing is, I think a lot of people worry about getting lost, worry about coming out funny. And I'll tell you what, I'm very skilled at navigating in the dark, and I get lost, I get messed up. It's not a big deal.
I have to come save them.
Most of the time where we're hunting, if you walk a straight line, and I mean, you might come out the next road back the opposite direction, but you're going to hit a road. You're going to come out. If you stop and you listen for traffic, you get a direction. You look around. Most places we hunt, you can see lights in the distance.
Right.
You have beacons to find your way out. It's not that big of a deal.
And if you don't, I always get a bearing of where the nearest road is, north, south, west. I don't always use my phone because I can't, if the battery goes dead, then I don't have a phone. So I always have a bearing of where the closest road is.
Thanks for watching. See ya.
Take care and get out there and hunt in the dark. Don't kill anything though in the dark. That was dumb.
Well, I made it out alive.